Hi, and welcome to 30 Sweats in 30 Minutes. Today we're going to be going through some great tools and workflows, new and current, that make designing in VStitcher fast and realistic. This is a design workshop that utilises blocks, U3Ms, and our Stage plugin to highlight how easy and fast you can design multiple garments created and rendered in minutes. The assets and blocks in our workshop are available for download via the link, for you to test out after and create your own designs. Let's get straight into it and start with a classic, the graphic sweat. We've added some great new techniques in the library with the latest Substance integration. I open the library and see we have fabrics to select from, but also some great new techniques. I'm going to check out the chenille embroidery. I add the artwork as normal, change to custom mask and apply my own mask. This is a slightly different workflow for these new techniques. We need to make sure that the artwork is saved as a black and white artwork for the mask to work properly. The white part will be the visible part. We have lots of custom sliders to change the artwork. Let's remove the filling pattern first and add the roughness so it's using cotton threads. This might look better on the sleeve. Let's remove and add to the sleeve, then magic mirror to the other side. I can change the base colours and stitching all at once with my colours in use. Anything this shade of grey is highlighted, I click and select a new colour from my palette and everything is updated. And that's our first style. I like this college theme. Let's take a new block and use our oversized rugby sweat. I'll pick a new technique this time and use this flat embroidery. I apply to the base and position, replace to a custom mask and add our own artwork. Remember, a black base with white artwork. Great, let's zoom in and see the details I can change. I'm going to remove the pattern. I also want a thinner embroidery around the edge so I can reduce the border size. This would look nice as a satin embroidery. So let's add the metallic. Finally, let's change the colours to colours in our palette. I think this style would look great with an all-over stripe. Let's add our artwork and make it an all-over print. Let's not forget to use lower layer maps, so it looks like the stripe is part of the base fabric. I'm not sure on the colours here. Using our Illustrator integration, we can individually change each stripe colour. Let's also change the base colour and also the stripe size. And we have our finished rugby style. Let's take a look at one more graphic and create a classic crew sweat. We've added a PSD Photoshop file as well as an Illustrator file to create a multiple print technique. We add the Photoshop artwork first, but I'm wanting the artwork to blend in more around the edge so we can edit externally. If we add Photoshop files and edit, all of the layers will actually appear from the original, so we can edit each part individually. We save it and it will be updated instantly in VStitcher. This is a great integration to use as well as the Illustrator integration. Let's add our Illustrator artwork on top of this. We can scale individually and change the base colours because this is a separate print technique. Let's change the base to something darker. And now we have our multiple print technique sweat. Let's take another look at a classic sweat option and use my favourite tool, the cut mark. We can create colour blocking and seaming by drawing in the 2D window. But let's do something a little more creative. I'm going to use our pen tool on our blocks, but in the 3D window. And I'm going to create some curved blocking using my curve lines. If I make sure that my snap to edge is highlighted, this means I can draw lines that continue in the same place onto the edge in each pattern piece. You'll also notice that the seams automatically appear in red and visible. I can then use my 2D window and 3D window together to adjust the lines and position perfectly. Again, making sure that snap to edge is highlighted so the seam goes to the edge of the pattern piece. You could also use the extend to edges, but I find this works best with curved seams. I can select all my internal lines and use some of our great new seam settings. I'll just set these to open seam. I can then make them cut marks and then drop some colours from our palette in there. I'll use my assign tool to apply to the areas I want to be different fabrics. Let's add an artwork sign off. And finally, let's do the same but on the jog, so we have a matching blocked suit. I'm going to continue with the cut and sew theme, but I want to create some inside out raw edge seams this time instead. Let's start and draw some internal lines. I'm then going to hold Option down to duplicate this line and adjust the point to the edge. I'll then extract with stitches to create a new pattern piece that will automatically stitch to the body. I can then delete the lower seams as we want this part to be the raw edge. We arrange and increase the 3D layer so it simulates on top of our body. A great tip when adding details like this is to have your block locked. This will make adding pattern pieces and pockets much faster. Now let's add some new assets. I'm going to add the raw edge sweat U3M that we scanned. This looks great, but we also need to add a transparent fabric to this piece. I want to emphasize the shadow underneath, so let's add a shadow effect under the seam. We can then make the seam a cut mark and change the colours of the base. And finally, let's add a sign-off artwork. We've got some great oversized styles in our asset pack, but let's open up a cleaner option now. Let's take a look at our space dye effect fabric, created using all over print artworks. We can change each individual layer and colour, the transparency and even the base colour. Another of my favourite workflows is using the attach function with pockets. Let's create a pattern piece using the pen tool. Arrange over the front piece in the 2D window and press Attach. I change the seams to be directional. I love using this workflow for pockets because we can move the pocket, edit the points, and create the perfect pocket shape without having to dress or stitch anything. We can also add stitching to the pocket when it's attached. I think this would look great with a zip on top, so let's add one. I'll draw an internal line. I'll add this wet look zip from our U3Ms. And because the pieces are locked when I press dress, this will happen so quickly. Again, this technique for adding zips and trims is so fast because I can move and adjust the internal line and dress instantly to update. Let's create a jacquard effect now. I want the ribs to look like they have a jacquard logo effect in them. So I'll add as an edge assignable trim. I'll make sure to use lower layer maps so it looks like it's embedded in the rib, and change the colour. Let's add these details to the rest of the style. Let's take a look now at how we can create a high-end tracksuit. Firstly, I'm going to take a look at how we can add taping by creating an internal line and adding our taping U3M file. Our grouped edge assignable trims is such a powerful tool because we can add as many layers as we like to create multiple artworks, and then we'll assign on one line. For example, this taping artwork looks great and we can change the stitching colour and the taping separately, but it'd look even better with some artwork. So let's do a great trick and create a jacquard effect on our artwork. I'll add the artwork as a normal artwork, change to a substance technique, but actually select jacquard label technique. This will give the artwork the jacquard detail. I can recolor, and I can then move it to the edge assignable trims and combine with the taping. I'll resize and offset the artwork. And now we have a great branded taping we can use across all styles. We can change the base color, stitching, and artwork separately. We can use this with all substance techniques, so we can get creative. We can create embossed taping, glitter taping, sequin taping. Try it out for yourselves. If we look again at our substance folder, we can take a look a bit more into the fabrics. So let's add a few to our file. Our new substance integration means we can add fabric substance files and adjust with the sliders just like the print techniques. We also have presets to select from, and we can change the individual colours. These look great. Let's create a colorway and replace another option. Let's take a look at a different substance fabric. Amazing! With Substance you can download more fabrics from the Substance store or create your own in the Substance software. We're going to continue with the Smart theme and create a velour outfit, but experiment more into the advanced maps. Let's take a look at the base fabric. To make this fabric look smarter, we can add specular first, but then look into our advanced maps. We can add metallic to give the fabric a more metallic look, or we can add sheen, which will give the fabric that velvet look. If we change the sheen tint, the colour will blend in with the base colour more. By using these maps combined with our classic maps, we can create so much variation on fabrics. I'm going to add an all-over print. And because this is an Illustrator file, I can change each colour of the all over prints separately. Let's add some piping. By drawing an internal line and applying our piping U3M file, we can recolour and also change the width of the piping if desired. Finally, let's add some tipping. All our tipping artwork to the ribs, I want to change the design of this tipping, so let's edit externally using our Illustrator integration. I'll edit the lines in Illustrator, save, and it will be updated instantly. I'll finally update the colour. Let's look a bit more into the advanced maps and create another smart style. We have several different fleece options in our library. We can add specular to give the fabric some shinier thread content. Let's adjust the advanced maps to create finishes like peaching to our styles. We want our seams to look thicker. We can use our seam thickness on our seams to add thickness, or we can use our thickness stitch U3M seam. I'll apply to the edges, and this suddenly looks much thicker and raised. This is because of the normal maps. Let's select the points and change to join. For speed, sometimes we want waistbands and ribs to look more gathered without having to change pattern pieces. To do this, we can take scans of details like puckering and create our own edge assignable details. I can apply, and there are 5 rows of stitching at 1 cm intervals, so I set the puckering width to 1 cm and to have 5 rows. Now if we adjust the normal map, we can change how intense we want the look, and the base colour will not be affected. Finally, let's add an artwork and use our classic substance integration to create an embossed artwork. And finally, let's change the stitching and zip tape colours to match the base. Let's take a look at some more technical options and use our new seam settings some more. First, let's create a simple cut mark and set the seam to be directional. I'll apply the polar fleece fabric to the base and I'll add stitching so I can see. I can set the seam to have puckering. We have some great presets. Let's select puffy so it gives a nylon effect. These are great. I can copy these settings by selecting here and paste them onto my other seams. Let's quickly add a sign-off artwork. I want my zip down the middle to be more of a welt zip. If we measure the centre front and neck by multiple selecting them, I can see the measurement is roughly 68 centimeters. I can add a new piece, change the dimensions to 68 by 0.5 centimeters, change the 3D layer and create a symmetrical piece. If I then multiple stitch these to the center front, I can arrange and dress, and again, because the block is locked, this happens so quickly. And finally, let's change the colours. We've made it even easier to create wash-looking styles. We can take another look at our seams. We can now add washing to the seam edge, and also apply puckering and include the washing in the puckering. If I select all lines, I can quickly add washing and puckering to all the seams and edges for speed. We also have a new substance fabric that is a washed sweat U3M. You can create wash with all over prints, but we've made it even easier to create washing effects simply by adjusting these sliders. By using these sliders, we can create all types of wash sweats, from subtle acid washes to intense all over washes. We can even add wrinkles to this fabric. Let's change the base colour . And clone our fabric and change the colour for the jogs. Let's also adjust the wash level. Let's use our colours in use to change all the stitching so it's a contrast colour. Finally, let's add an artwork from our rugby style. If you're a designer like me, the words bellow pocket in 3D might scare you. That's why we've created this great asset file for you to use containing various pockets. This is a workflow where you can open another VStitcher window and file and copy and paste from one to another. We select the pockets we want, press copy, select the new file and paste. We simply need to trace as an internal line on the piece that we want. The pockets are already symmetric, and we can arrange and change our cluster type to flat. We stitch the pocket to the pattern piece using our multi-stitch tool. The great part of this workflow is that the 3D layers, symmetry, seam settings, and stitching are all copied over. And again, if the block is locked, when dressing the pockets, this happens super quickly. We can style just our pockets to make sure they're simulating nicely. These are looking great. Let's copy and paste another for the top. Remember now we trace his internal lines? And then use our multi-stitch tool. We then arrange and dress, and it's as simple as that. Finally, let's change the base fabric. Open our pocket file and try out some different pockets for yourself. Let's render one of our styles quickly using our Stage plugin. For those of you that don't know much about Stage, it's our new plugin that allows you to see your style in different locations and lighting, all with live rendering. We can rotate and see it from all angles. We can also create instant images direct from VStitcher using the plugin. We select the angle and scene settings quickly, render, and we get an amazing image in seconds. It also contains super realistic metahuman avatars if you want your styles on real looking avatars. We can also add multiple styles with our multi-avatar feature, making it easier and faster to render and view your range. For more information on our Stage plugin, please visit our website. So it's as simple as that. We turned our basic blocks into full designs in minutes. Download the asset files and try some styles out for yourself. Thank you for watching, and please visit our homepage if you would like to know more about Browseware.